please do.
So this is gonna go on our coaching platform later, so other people that are not here. What did I did?
Just pinning her.
Oh, you on a pinner?
Yeah.
How do we pin that?
We're just making you bigger.
Oh, exactly
favorite.
what you guys don't need is me any bigger on your screen.
But now I see a presentation though.
Yeah, I'm sharing screen. Can you see that?
Awesome. Cool. All right, Sarah. Well, the crowd is yours. We have about 10 people here, plus a 4-year-old. Probably needs breathing exercise more than anybody else. And we have a couple people online, and we may have a few more. So Allison is going to moderate that. If they join, she's going to control that. And floor is yours.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Miller, and thank you so much for having me on the call. First off, I'm just going to apologize in advance. I am working from St. Lucia this week, which is like the most entitled first world problem ever.
Yeah,
So
I forgot that you're in St. Lucia.
I'm in St. Lucia, so I don't have like, the lighting's not all right. But anyway, so I'm here and just want to say thank you for having me on this call. So before we really dive into the content that we're going to go into, I just want to invite all of us to just go ahead and take a conscious breath together. So collectively, let's just go ahead and inhale through our nose and exhale through the mouth. Let's do that one more time. Inhale gently through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Did you feel that? That was a reset. That was presence. So let me go and take you back just a little bit. And I want to take you back to a time when presence was the very thing that I had lost. And just really quick as kind of an overview, I'm going to just kind of quickly walk through my story. We won't spend too much time there, but I think it's important to kind of understand how I got to the place that I am now currently with breathwork. And then I'll provide you a few what I call tactical breathing exercises. So those are quick activities that you can take with you that are going to help alter the way that you are feeling in any current time. So we'll walk through a few of those, and then we're actually going to walk through a guided exercise for about 5 minutes or so, where we're going to really try to focus on doing one of those breathing techniques just to help everything reset. So then we'll end with some time for Q&A. Love questions. So if you have everything, or if you have anything, please definitely go ahead and jump right in. So if we just go back to a little bit, I was in the military, and I believe that there's a number of other vets here present. So thank you all for your service. But when I left the Army, I thought that the hardest battles were actually behind me, but I wasn't truly prepared for what came next. As you guys, if you've been in battle, or even if you've only been to training, you're taught to stay alert, right? Stay alert, stay alive. You stay on, constantly scanning for threats. And it's like a light switch with no dimmer. You are on until you are done. And you're fully on, or then you're done. And then one day we get to leave the military and we leave the service, and they just expect that you're going to just flip that switch off, that suddenly we're going to sleep through the night. We're going to be bubbly again. We're going to suddenly blend in to groups and to different environments, and to not be triggered and target when a loud sound goes off. But what I've learned is that the human body doesn't work that way. The human body doesn't just come with this off switch. So what happens is that after extended periods of time of adrenaline surging through your system, your body becomes to depend on it, almost like a drug. It becomes your baseline. And when you remove that drug, it starts to go into a panic mode. And I don't know if anyone can associate with that, but you're not just anxious. You're actually in withdrawal from the very chemical state that kept you alive. So if you think about all of that time, either in the military or law enforcement, and even for those who haven't been in one of those services, if you've gone through some periods of high adrenaline, we see adrenaline junkies, adrenaline rush, right? And They're constantly seeking that high. And so when our body comes out of that state and we don't have that constant rush of adrenaline hitting our body, we go into a state of chemical withdrawal. And that's a withdrawal from actual adrenaline. And that's the part that nobody talks about. So we hear a lot about the invisible wounds that don't always show up on scans. But what does that actually mean? They show up in the sleepless nights. They show up in the inability to sit still, in hypervigilance, constantly looking around, always sitting in the corner with your back to the wall. And it's something that for many of us, we just can't explain. No one told me how common that was. And for a long time, I thought I was just failing at life. I thought it was something that I was doing wrong, something that, I must not have taken the right class. Maybe I'm not doing something right. And so instead, I just learned to keep moving. If I tucked it all in, if I outperformed, if I kept moving, if I was high performing all of the time, I would be okay. And while externally, all of those things were true, very high performing, had to beat out everyone and had to keep going, inside, I was unraveling. And that's when it was discussed just in very hushed tones about like PTSD, something's broken in her, and let's push more drugs is very much the medical and the Western medicine way of things. Let's push more drugs. But I knew that there had to be something more and something beyond that. And I wish I could tell you that my healing started with a plan. I love when people have great plans and they sit down and they set some smart goals. But mine didn't start that way. Mine started with a breakdown. It was in a downward spiral, doing all of the things that I was supposed to be doing. I'm taking my medicines. I had recently got sober, so no longer drinking and drugging, and I was still trying to hold it all together. And while I was doing all the right things, I was in a really dark place, one where I couldn't see the light at all. So I called the VA and I just told them I need help. And they told me it was going to be 3 months before I could be seen. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to roll my slides. They told me it's going to be 3 months before I could get seen. And I tried to let them know, I don't have 3 months. And they told me that my only option at the time was to go to the ER, which absolutely terrified me, as I had young kids at home and I was so afraid that they would take my kids away if I went to the ER and said I was having these thoughts. And so I did what most people do when they're highly anxious and they can't sleep. I went down a social media rabbit hole. And in that rabbit hole, I somehow, but I like to say it's by grace, I landed on a breathwork journey that was being led by a gentleman out of Bali. And it was in the middle of the night for him. It was the middle of the night for me. It was the morning for him. And at that point, I just decided I have nothing else, right? Like I've tried everything. I'm at my end. So what's it going to hurt if I stay up a few extra hours and take this breathwork journey? And so I stayed up all night and took that breathwork journey. And what ended up happening during that first breathwork journey, I can't fully explain. What I do know is that when I got done with that breathwork journey, I slept better that night than I had in months, maybe even years. And it was absolutely incredible. And for me, that was the crack in my wall. That made me decide that I wanted to learn more. I was already doing meditation. I had been trained under Deepak Chopra. That had helped. But the part that I was missing was really understanding our nervous system. And that's what breath work taught me. Breath work taught me to understand our nervous system. And when we talk about nervous system, the biggest thing that really was kind of an aha moment for me was learning that our nervous system is both automatic, but we can also condition it. And so what that means is our nervous system is immediately going to respond the way it thinks it needs to respond. And oftentimes we relate that to fight or flight. And then when we're not in fight or flight, we're in a state of rest. And that's wonderful. Our body is going to automatically move us into those different positions. And depending on the events that we've gone through in our life, we are either going to be more conditioned to be in one or more conditioned to be in the other. So through breath work, I was able to see that there are things that we can do to help talk to our nervous system. So that when my nervous system's here, I can actually, through breath, bring it down here. When my nervous system is way down here and I can't get myself going or motivated at all, I can actually breathe a certain way and bring myself up. And for me, this was a big aha moment for me, because up until then, I had been trying to do that very transparently through drugs and alcohol. When I needed to sleep, I'll have all of the drinks so I could drink. If I needed to be up, there were chemicals for that. But learning that I could actually use my breath to alter the way that I was feeling was just absolutely groundbreaking for me. And so that led me to found Veterans Breath Guide. So that's how we actually came in contact, is through my nonprofit. And just a quick blurb for that, we serve over 50 veterans every month through free workshops and peer-led healing. And this is an amazing time where veterans can come on and they can learn about breath, and they can learn how to hack into their nervous system. And they're able to really be able to reclaim their strength. And that's the thing that we're really looking here for, is how can we use our own self? How can we use our breath to really reclaim our life? So we're not looking to fix anyone. We're not looking to heal anyone, but we're looking to remind everyone that inside them, they have the strength to be able to calm themselves and to keep going. And there's a lot of power that comes with that. So through my journey, I've ended up, it started with meditation, it went to breath work. From there, I went into some deeper levels of breath work. And then I actually went and got my integrative somatic trauma therapy certificate, which is all about learning how we use our bodies, both through breath and through movement, to alter the way that we are feeling in any given time, but also at a deeper level to be able to start to work through some trauma that we may have experienced. Newsflash, everybody has experienced trauma, even if they don't want to talk about it, but how we can start to release that without having to talk about it. So I know that that's kind of, a big hit in a lot of fields, especially in the veteran community. Most of us have just been like nailed down with talk therapy, talk therapy, talk therapy, come to another group and let's talk about it. Truth be, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I just want to not hurt. I don't want to die anymore. I just want to be able to fit in. I want to go to a kid's birthday party and not get super annoyed that the kids are being noisy. And so that came, and that understanding for how that work came through the integrative somatic trauma therapy certification. We're learning that all of those things that happen within our body, all of the good that happens in our life, the bad that happens in our life, it actually gets imprinted into our body at a cellular level. And then there are ways that we can go and help remove that. But if we're not aware of that, if we're not conscious of that, and we simply go through either the medical treatments, or you do what I did, which was mainly drink, drug, and stay extremely busy, we're not getting to the core root of the problem. And that's what we're looking to help solve through the breath work and through the somatic therapy that I provide, is we're trying to get to the root. And again, we don't have to talk about it. The body remembers. We just help remind the body of what's going on, and then the body will identify it, and the body, through these exercises, help push it out. So it's absolutely amazing, and I'm really, really thankful to be able to volunteer so much of my time working in and around this group set. So there's so much that we could do. I love breath work. We could go into breath work sessions. There's really this whole pendulum, right, of things that we can do, from just easy breathing, deep traumatic breath work where we had people crying. It's funny, maybe I shouldn't brag about this. Maybe it's not funny. When I was in the military as an interrogator, and one of the things we used to kind of take tabs on is like, okay, who's going to get their detainee to cry first today? Not physically, but who's gonna get the guy to cry today? And it was always kind of like a win if you came out and you're like, yes, I got my guy to cry first today. And now here I am all these years later, and I'm like, who am I gonna get to cry today, guys? Like who? Because I work with a lot of really, I work with both females and males, but like these really, really strong people. And it's amazing when they come into the space and when that healing happens, the tears just automatically come. And so it's such a joy to get to be part of people's healing process, and to see those tears and to see that tear means healing is transpiring and healing is taking place. And it's just the most beautiful thing. So what we're going to focus on, don't worry, I'm not going to get anyone to go into tears tonight. We're not here to that. I just want to talk through oh, you're muted. Were you saying something?
Sorry, I was looking forward to seeing a few guys in this room cry tonight.
We can definitely schedule a longer session, or I can just be up there in person and we could really get it going. I'll bring some handkerchiefs.
I will say,
and
Sarah, you're, because I know we've been muted because I didn't want to interrupting you, but a lot of things you're saying, just so you know, resonates with people in this group. We have people that are sober now because of how they manage pain. I know I've been dealing with, you mentioned about, not being able to switch it on and off. One thing that I mentioned recently to Tyler, my wife who sits here and so forth, is that I actually miss war. So my trauma is not in PTSD in that sense. I just miss battle. That's my trauma.
Yeah.
Like I can't get settled in unless somebody's shooting at me. So this is resonating on a lot of levels with a lot of people right now.
Yeah, and it's interesting, but it's not unique that you say that. For many of us, it's the set purpose that we have when we're in battle, and it's very defined, and it is morning to night. There is no night. All of that blends together, and it's just go, go, go. We don't have to think. We just execute, and our body is trained to execute. But a large part of that is the chemical state that happens, and that's the withdrawal. I know in my unit, as soon as we got back from our first deployment, everybody was putting their names in the hat. We're like, how quickly can we go again? Because we didn't want to be back. And people are like, what do you mean you want to go right back? Like, guys, we're in Seoul, Korea. Like, stay in Korea, have fun. It's like, no, I don't want to be here, because it was that adrenaline and it was that intense sense of purpose that we had. So let's just get into these. I'm just going to give you kind of 4 simple tools. These are tools that I use every day. I teach them to every veteran that I work with. Just to be clear, these are what we call tactical breathing techniques. So these are just easy techniques you can take with you, and you can utilize these. Just kind of put them in your toolkit. Use them if they work for you, and if they don't work for you, let them go. Once we get through this, we're actually going to practice one of these for just a little bit longer and stay in that space. But the first one I want to talk about is 4-2-6 breathing. And this is actually the one that we're going to get into after this slide. But in 4-2-6 breathing, and you don't have to get super hung up on the numbers 4, 2, and 6, the key that we're looking for is that we're looking for an inhale, and we're looking for a slight hold, and then we're looking for an extended exhale. All of this is happening through the nose. So we're breathing in on this one, 4-2-6. You would breathe in for 4 counts, you would hold for 2, and you'd exhale for 6. This is going to turn off that fight or flight response that's happening in your body. So if you think about that from kind of a scientific purpose, and a lot of this goes back to like our days as cavemen, what were we built to do in those early on years? And that is built in, that is ingrained into our beings. You were sleeping, or you were hunting, you were fighting, but all the time you're probably listening, because you were not only the predator, but you were also the prey. And so if you think about what happens when you start sprinting, or what happens when you start to get anxious, what happens when you start to get a little bit angry, our breath starts to become more shallow. Our breath starts to happen up here in the chest. And a lot of times we start to breathe through our mouth. That is our body preparing us. We're going into fight. Let's go. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually force ourselves out of that. And we do that by this nice 4-2-6 breathing. And when we do that, when we do it through our nose, anytime you really slow down and get very purposeful in that exhale, it is literally telling your nervous system that you are safe right now. You are safe. This is one I do all of the time. There have been times, trying to think of the most recent because it happens a lot. I was at a crowded concert and it's like, yeah, I love this band, everything's great. And then all of a sudden I go into fight or flight and my heart was, seizing up. It was in my chest and I could tell that my body was going into a panic attack. And I know now because of my training and now what I share with others, being able to understand what was happening was okay. My body is going into the fight or flight. I need to get it out of that state. And so in that concert hall, I was able to really just zone in. I cast my eyes down to the ground so I could zone out everybody else and started to go and really focus on breathing. And within a few minutes, my body was back to a grounded state. So this stuff really does work. I hope that you try it. The next one is we just call it name it to tame it. And this is one that it's super simple and it's not just a breathing exercise, but it's really about understanding what it is that you're feeling when you're feeling a physical reaction. So we feel a physical reaction, but what is it that we're actually feeling? Am I feeling shame? Am I feeling anxiety? Am I feeling guilt? Am I feeling anger? When we can start to name and identify the emotions that are behind the way that we are physically feeling, then we can start to deactivate that threat. And that's the same thing if you are in, fight or flight. When you're in, I do a lot of backpacking and I'll hear, some branches breaking and my body goes like, oh shit, what is it? And I'm like, okay, it is X. Name what X is. As long as X is not a grizzly bear, it's going to help me kind of deactivate that threat. Oh, okay, it's just wind going through the trees. It's just so the same thing happens with our emotional state. There's a situation I like to share quite often, which is the rage that I get inside of me. And really working on this one, guys. When I am in a supermarket and somebody cuts me off with like their buggy, I want to grab the closest thing to me and just like chuck it at their head. Why? My body is going into fight or flight, and all of a sudden it's rage. And if I don't deactivate it, all I am feeling is rage. But rage is not really the feeling that I am having. What am I feeling? I'm feeling out of control. I'm feeling that somebody is getting too close to me. I am feeling sad that this person hasn't noticed me, or maybe I'm just feeling angry. But when I can identify it as this is how I'm feeling, I'm deactivating and taking the power away from that threat. That's also a good time to use that 4-2-6. Don't throw anything at the person. Let's name it to tame it, and then breathe through it. Next is the power of pause. And guys, you'll start to see that a lot of these can really work well together. And with power of pause, we're just taking a second to pause before we react. And this can be a hard one, especially when we're trained to we got to respond quickly. But sometimes those responses that we have, sometimes those reactions, they're not really well thought out. They're coming from a place of chemical change that is happening in our body. They're not really taking thought. And so what we want to do is take a few seconds just to pause. My kids call me out on this all the time because they're like, oh God, mom's doing the breath, because they know I'm taking my second to pause. And now I'm going to go ahead and respond. And when I respond, I'm going to be able to actually, because I've taken a second to pause, I'm going to stop that initial reaction that's happening with my nervous system. And I'm actually going to have a second to think about what it is that I'm getting into. So if we think about this and we start to combine all of these, maybe take a power pause. Maybe just let's take a second. And in those few seconds, can I name it? And if it's really big and if that's not going to get me deactivated, can I go ahead and do some extended exhale breathing to really start to deactivate and bring it down. So really powerful sequences that happen there. And then this last one, I just absolutely love. It's creating micro moments of safety. This is one that you can do near anywhere, but what we're doing in micro minutes of safety is we're bringing our awareness away from everything. We are no longer scanning the horizon. We are instead bringing our attention very close and making ourselves understand that we are safe. So what this can look like, holding a cold glass and really getting focused on, how does this glass feel in my hand right now? How are my hands feeling with the perspiration on the outside of this glass? Or maybe you're washing the dishes. How does this hot water feel in my hands? I'm using soap. Are my hands feeling slippery? That may seem silly, but what it's forcing you to do is bring your thought inward. We're no longer focusing on all of the external perceived threats. We're bringing that focus inward, and we're letting our body know that we are okay. If you have a little bit more time, and maybe we've already started to ground because we're feeling better right here, we've done some introspection, maybe you can light a little candle and just sit down and watch a candle burn. It may seem like, why would I ever watch a candle burn, or build a bonfire in your backyard? And don't dance around it. Don't make s'mores. Just sit and watch that fire burn. It helps your body find some grounding and start to calm itself. So it's really powerful when you start to bring all of these together. The micro moments of safety, I like to do a lot of times in boardrooms. With my day job, I do a lot of presentations. I'm up in New York City quite often. And I get into some very, very heated conferences sometimes, and rooms are just arguing about stuff. And even though I know they're just arguing about, what is perceived stupid stuff, like my body is still like, oh gosh, there's an argument happening. What do I do? So I'll create just a perceived moment, this micro moment of safety. And so often what that looks like for me, if I'm in a conference room, because I don't want to like draw attention to myself, right? I'll take my hands and just start kind of thumbing the sides of my pant legs and just really becoming aware and focused of the crease. And what does the crease of my pants feel like? Are my pants rough today? Are my pants really smooth today? I wonder how many seams, and by bringing all of that awareness directly to my pant legs or whatever it is, I'm doing something that's very discreet, but I'm bringing myself in. So while everybody else is getting stressed out in boardrooms, y'all, I'm looking cute, like cool as a cucumber over here. And once they're ready to settle down, I've already settled myself down. And that's when I can come in for the win, which in my world in sales, it's all about let's get that win. So just something else for you to try out is just try to find some micro moments of safety. So with that, if you guys will just appease me for a few minutes, I want to go ahead and just take some time to just practice one of these together. And what I want to do is just 4-2-6 breathing. And so what this is going to look like is I'm going to start this off by just counting us through our inhale of 4, a hold for 2, and an exhale for 6. Once we've gone through that for a few cycles, I'm going to encourage you to continue that breathing on your own. Some people may feel that 6 is too short and they really want to exhale longer. Go ahead. The only thing here is we want that exhale to be longer than the inhale. Some people really focus on that count and they're like, Sarah, I can't relax because I'm just counting. Let go of the numbers. Once you've listened to me and once you've listened to me count you through a few of these, your body is going to get into a natural state of exhaling slower than you're inhaling. And that's all we're looking to do. So I'll count you into this, and then I'm going to leave you on your own. And this is going to feel a little bit uncomfortable. For those who aren't used to stillness, if you're not used to silence, I'm going to leave you on your own for 5 whole minutes. Your body may go insane, and that is okay. What I want you to do in that time is just bring yourself back to your breath and bring yourself back to that counting. This is a great time if your brain is like, I can't be here. This is stupid. I have 15 other things to do. Start going through that counting sequence again. Inhale 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6. And through that, we'll come back afterwards and we'll just see how everybody's doing and how that has worked for everyone. So any questions before we dive into that?
You guys
Nope.
want to turn the light off?
Very good. Yeah.
Please don't turn the light off.
All right, so if you guys will, let's go ahead and just start by closing our eyes if that feels comfortable for you. And if it doesn't feel comfortable, that's okay. Go ahead and just lower your gaze. Maybe look at something that is on the floor in front of you. And why don't you just start by taking a few deep breaths, allowing yourself to let go of anything that is outside this room at this moment. And allowing yourself to settle in to this exercise that we're about to start. And now collectively, let's go ahead and exhale any air which may be in our lungs. And now we'll get started. Let's inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 1, 2. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 1, 2. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want you to continue. You can continue on that count, or you can extend that count a little bit if you'd like. But go ahead, keep your eyes closed. You are safe in this space. I have eyes on the room and everybody is fine. So go ahead and allow yourself to really just relax in to this time, focusing on really extending your exhale. And if at any time your mind starts to pull you away, just bring yourself right back to that count. Reminding your body that you are okay, you are safe, and you have the right to calm down exactly where you are. We oftentimes don't take time for ourselves. We're really good at giving. Many of us work in fields where we are giving to others. We're taking care of others. If you're a parent, you spend a lot of time taking care of your kids. And if you have a partner, we often tend to put their needs before our own. But sometimes it's important to just take time to breathe and to allow your body to just reset. And while this exercise might seem simple, it may even seem silly, what you're doing right now is you are hacking your nervous system. And you are telling your body that it is okay to relax and to unwind. And as you continue to breathe, maybe we can begin to let go of that count just a little bit. Maybe we can rely on our body to give us what we need in this moment. A chance to let go of everything outside of this room. Chance to put a dimmer switch where there once was just an on and off. Giving your body the ultimate break. And break of rest. A break of relaxation. As we go out of this, we're going to actually change our breathing just a little bit now that we've grounded and now that our body knows that it's okay. I want us to all begin to start breathing a little bit deeper and a little bit faster, letting go of that hold, but just taking in some nice deep inhales and then immediately exhaling. Nice big inhale. Nice big exhale. Let's do that one more time. Let's see how deep you can get it. Nice big inhale. Nice big exhale. Let's do this one more time. On the inhale, breathe in as much air as you can, and I want you to hold it. And with your breath held, I want you to begin to notice the stillness that creates in your mind when you hold your breath. And when you're ready, go ahead and release that breath with an audible sigh or an audible noise of some sort. Let's do that one more time. So we're just going to breathe in and out nice and deep. Filling in our belly as big as we can, and topping it off into our chest, and then a nice big exhale. Trying to see if we can breathe deeper. Maybe we can breathe a little bit faster, letting go of that hold. And here we go. One more time. Let's exhale all the air that's in our belly. Let's take a nice deep breath in, as deep, as deep, as deep as you can get. When you can't breathe in anymore, I want you to hold your breath. And with your breath held, just notice the stillness. Notice the strength. Notice the calmness that you have. We're going to keep holding. Your body might be screaming at you. I promise you guys, you are safe right now. And then on the count of 3, I want everyone to release this with a very audible sound. So when we let this go, you can make a lion sound, you can roar, you can grunt, whatever you want to do, you can scream. But as we let go of this one, I want everyone to make a really, really loud sound. Here we go. Let's do it all together. 1, 2, 3, let's go. Woo. All right, open your eyes and come back. Whew. Sometimes after you do something like that, especially with the hold, you might feel the need to kind of like shake it out a little bit. Whew. And if you do, that's totally normal. That's a somatic experience. Your body has just gone through a series of adrenaline highs and some lows at that last moment. So what your body's asking, if you ever feel that need to just suddenly shake, your body is asking to just release whatever it just processed. And it's pretty interesting. There's been a number of studies that have gone on, and the trauma world really picked up in the early 80s. And one of the studies was on animals. And why do animals in the wild, they get hunted one day and then the next day they're right back out there just jumping around like a happy little deer or gazelle, totally forgetting that they were hunted the day before. And so they started watching animals and they started watching the habits that were happening in their environments. And what they noticed is that after an extended, and this happens for both the predator and the prey, after an extended hunt or something where their body has gone into fight or flight, they don't just stop. And that's typically what we do. Something really dangerous happens, and then we just sit down. It's like, oh, don't cry. Let's all be okay. Let's just sit down and unwind and like pretend it's okay. But what animals do is they actually continue to kind of walk around for a little bit. They'll walk in circles. If you ever watch your dog after they've been outside really barking loudly at something, they'll come in and they'll shake. And that shake is just their body's way of letting go of that feeling. So if any of you felt that at the end of our little breath holds and then big release, it's just your body saying, I want to release something. So with that, I have just a few encouragements for you. One, I hope that you picked up something from those tactical breathworks that we did that might resonate with you. Try them out. I would really challenge you guys to try each one of them out in the real world outside of this room at least 1 or 2 times before you say, no, you're never going to do that. And then the other thing is that if you are a veteran or know a veteran, I would appreciate if you send them to veteransbreathguide.org. We are a nonprofit, completely free, and we love to bring veterans into our space and help continue their journey as they transition out of the military.
And we'll share it on our platform. Thank you, Sarah. Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
So the breathing work that we did right now was supposed to calm us down, right? To, I don't know, subdue a little. But there's also, as you mentioned, breath work to get us excited or ready. Let's say I am going into something that requires my full enthusiasm. How does that change?
Yes.
Not that we have to go through another exercise, but what are some things that are different?
Yeah, no, that's great. And that's what we kind of transitioned to very minimally towards the end. I like to call it dopamine breathing. What happens when we start to do this more fast-paced breathing? We're breathing into our belly and then we're suddenly exhaling. We're not holding it. We're making this kind of like circular breathing cycle where we're breathing in, we're breathing out, we're breathing in, we're breathing out, and then you hold it. And there is some timing around that I recommend. So if you start with 60 seconds of just fast breathing, get it going, and then start with a 30-second hold. And then go into 60 seconds again of that fast breathing. Go into 45-second hold. Do that one more time, go into 60 seconds, and then do a 1-minute hold. When you get done with that short exercise, it is going to release a ton of dopamine into your system. And you're going to feel like you are ready to just get stuff done. It's like, I did it with a group of vets before we got into a whitewater rafting thing. And it was so fun. As soon as we all hopped in or into the boat, everybody was like so amped up from breathing that we're like, yeah, let's go. So definitely a good one. And then as you start to do that, each of us are a little bit different. That breathing can actually, or sorry, the holds can actually be extended a little bit more. So unless you're with a professional, I would never hold it for more than like 1 minute, 45 seconds, just in case something happens. But up to 1 minute 45, most people, your body is going to be just fine with the hold.
Awesome. Thank you. Anybody has any
Yeah.
questions?
Can I ask one off of
I
that?
suppose you could.
Can you hear me, Sarah? I'm sorry.
No, I can.
Okay, so going off of that as well, and as far as like familiarizing with the term, like the holotropic breathing,
Mhm.
and really getting into like the deep body, like really trauma release. So obviously you would probably want to do that with a professional.
Yes.
So do you guys offer that as well? I assume like 1-to-1 or some type of sessions, but
Yeah, we do, and it's kind of neat. What we do with VPG is we'll start to get into some of that holotropic breathing in some of our group sessions. That's really something though, when we're doing the deep work, I love to do those on one-on-one sessions, just so that we can tailor it a bit more and customize it specifically for you. I know there are some people out there, and it's great that this is becoming massively available. But they'll do it to large scale audiences where they'll have 100 people in a room all deeply breathing. I'm like, wait, everybody's trauma is going to look and feel extremely different. And what you need in that moment is not what those other 199 people need. So
Right.
yeah, I'm happy to, I love to do that on individual or small group sessions. I'd be honored if you guys wanted to do one as a group sometime. But yeah, that's when we start to, and sorry, for those who aren't aware, what happens in that sort of breathing is we get ourselves into a place where we're actually starting to slow down our prefrontal cortex. And if you think about the prefrontal cortex, the goal of that is really to be the command tower. It is telling our body how to operate and normally our body says, take all commands from the tower. When we get into holotropic breathing, we're slowing that down and we're telling our body, we're not going to take all commands from the tower. What that allows us to do is actually get into our subconscious, which sounds crazy, right? But what's really amazing about this, and this is where I got really excited, and there's so many things that I totally geeked out on as I started my education in this, is that 90% of our thoughts actually reside within our subconscious. 90%. So you're telling me the thousands of thoughts I have all day about how my boss is making me mad or how this guy next to me is taking up too much space, and all that only accounts for 10% of my thoughts. So it's no wonder why I'm at a supermarket and somebody cuts their buggy in front of me and I go into a rage. Something is happening in that 90% of my subconscious thoughts that I'm not even aware of. And so what we do with holotropic breathing is we start to slow down that prefrontal cortex. We turn off the judgment that we normally feel when we start to do some deep, what we call shadow work. And we just start to go in and we do it without judgment. We just begin to look at what's there and what is my body ready to release. And then we allow our bodies through breath and some somatic experiencing to release those trauma imprints that are at our core level. And that's really where we start to talk about healing without talking. And that was one of my first taglines when I got into this industry, is like, when you're ready to stop talking and start healing, call me, because that's what we do. We're letting your breathing and your body talk to each other to release what's ready to let go.
awesome. Thank you so much. I have
You're
another
welcome.
question, but I'll let someone else.
Anybody else? Tyler, what's your other question?
Okay. I guess it's a two-parter. One,
You
could.
only get one other question, not two other questions.
She gets two.
Thank you. One, could that, doing a one-on-one with you, is that possible if I wanted to do that?
I'll
Okay.
connect you
Yeah,
later.
100%.
Perfect. And then my next question, in your education in breathwork, if I was interested in facilitating it myself, is really, I'm just trying to find good resources and good learning. So if you could share how you went about that and who to learn from.
Yeah, there was some
There's so
really
many.
there are so many, and I think you're asking some really great questions with so many popping up. You know, you definitely want to do your homework on what's out there. We went through kind of like a breathwork boom in the last maybe 2 to 3 years, and it was just everywhere. I studied through an organization called Breath Masters. The organization that I really encourage everybody to look into more, Breath Masters is definitely a great organization, but the Embody Lab. The Embody Lab has a full range of things that they teach to a lot of people that are in the medical community, but also in the healing community, to therapists. That's where I got my integrative traumatic. That is a tongue twister. It needs a really good acronym. The Integrative Somatic Trauma Therapy. I don't know why all civilians don't use acronyms for everything, because saying that is just too long. That's where I got training through them. They offer breath work throughout the year. They're very science-based. For me, I'm kind of I really like to understand the why behind certain things. Not everybody wants that. But for me, when I start to understand that, like, okay, we're not just doing this because it feels good. We're doing this because it is chemically altering and changing something. Oh, sign me up. So I definitely check out there. And everyone, I would recommend a book called The Body Keeps Score. And The Body Keeps Score, it's my #1 recommendation to anyone interested in breathwork or just understanding why their body sometimes just feels icky. And in that book, they go through some real life examples. They also talk a lot about the science and some of the studies that have happened behind it. And it's a good read. It gets a little brainy and heady at times, but for the most part, it's a good read.
I'm listening to it right now. It's funny that you say
Oh,
that.
good. Oh, good. Yeah, it's such a good book.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Sarah, thank you for taking time from your vacation in St. Lucia to be with our group. Truly appreciate it. And you know, this has been awesome. This has been great. So go enjoy your vacation, and we'll be in touch hopefully soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Just as an offer to your community, I'd love to join you guys on site sometime, and we can make some
Every
people
year in
cry.
Maryland. Yeah,
Yes.
come play. They
All
only
right.
usually only cry when I kick them in the balls, so they can use a different reason.
I will
All
not
right.
kick you in the balls, but maybe we'll get the same outcome with the crying. So,
Awesome.
all
Take
right,
care,
y'all
Sarah.
have a
Thank
great
you so
evening.
much.
Of course.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.